Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN Weekly for Saturday, September 24th, 2022. Well, it's been another great week of shows with great topics and guests. We kicked off the week with a look at a successful emergency workplace savings program. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a significant impact. And we were really thrilled to be able to partner with UPS as part of BlackRock's Emergency Savings Initiative, which is this philanthropic effort to work with a variety of private sector partners to drive emergency savings. And UPS was really one of the first to identify this opportunity to support their non-union employees with emergency savings. And, the impacts of that, as you said, $10 million in new savings, increased participation in this feature of their 401k plan that we really think is going to have an impact on those employees' lives. That is part of our hope of this program and these partnerships that we've developed, and being able to tell this story to try to inspire other employers to take similar action. So we know how critical it is to have emergency savings as a lead in to retirement security. There's significant research we've done and others that demonstrate a clear connection between having that emergency or liquid savings buffer and the ability to contribute to retirement. And so particularly for those employers who already have a retirement plan, but they want to make sure that employees are able to take full advantage of that, considering emergency savings solution alongside those retirement benefits is going to increase participation, increase engagement, and help employees save for both the short term for those unexpected expenses, whether it's a global pandemic or just an everyday impact, or as well as managing for that long-term retirement and being able to do those two things simultaneously. So, we started with an assessment of what solutions that UPS could put in front of its employees to help them build emergency savings, did a pretty broad landscape scan of different vendors and solutions that were out there. And when considering what makes a high quality emergency savings solution, as well as what worked best for UPS and their employees, we ended up landing on the after-tax component of their existing 401k plan, which is administered by Voya Financial. So this allows for after-tax contributions. They're more liquid than the pre-tax contributions that employees are making. UPS had automatic enrollment, so they had really high participation in the pre-tax contributions. But this after-tax would be a voluntary election to take percentage of your pay in addition to what you're already contributing to pre-tax into this more liquid bucket that was well designed for emergency savings in many ways, but frankly was just underutilized and had never been promoted for that purpose. So a lot of what our work was identifying that opportunity and working really closely with UPS and Voya to communicate this and in some ways rebrand this after tax as a high quality emergency savings solution that employees could take advantage of right now and encourage that promotion and engagement. What we took away from our experience and what we've learned is that a multi-channel approach to communications is critical. That employees are making a lot of decisions around benefits, and so getting that attention and awareness is really important. So some of the things we did in collaboration with UPS and Voya were to create a landing page that describes the details of the after-tax account. As you said, there's some details and features that are really important for employees to understand. So explaining the value of emergency savings, how the after-tax account could help with that, and all the really important details so that employees know what they're participating in. And then driving traffic to that site through emails, both from UPS and Voya to those plan participants who opted into communications, posting it on internal intranet sites, incorporating it in other wellness, financial wellness, or other wellness communications that UPS was already doing. So trying to reach employees through the many different channels that they're already using to engage in benefits. And that was absolutely critical to drive that awareness and break through those attention challenges. In this case, the investments would be invested in the same way as the pre-tax investments. And so whatever the the employee had elected, they would be investing the after tax in that same bucket. That's not true for all plans across the board, but that is how the UPS plan is set up. And that is, frankly, one of the challenges or opportunities for improvement is being able to invest at different risk levels, because as you suggested, you want to be investing in a stable or low risk fund for those emergency expenses, and then ideally in return generating investments for that pre-tax long-term wealth building.
Next up, do you have questions about whether you're eligible for a student loan forgiveness? Well, we discussed it. Let's take a look.
So the student loan forgiveness is up to $10,000 per borrower. It'll be less if the borrower owes less than $10,000. If the borrower never received a federal Pell Grant. If the borrower at one point received a federal Pell Grant, then they get an extra $10,000 of loan forgiveness, or $20,000. Pell Grant recipient status is a marker of low income status. In addition, there are income phase-outs where if your income is over $125,000 a year as a single individual, or $250,000 as married or head of household, you're ineligible for the forgiveness. This combines to yield about 87% of the forgiveness dollars going to borrowers who earn $75,000 or less per year. An application form will become available in early October. For some borrowers, the U.S. Department of Education already knows their income information and can determine eligibility entirely on their own. For the rest of the borrowers, in 8 million borrowers, the department has the income information. For the rest of the borrowers, the U.S. Department of Education will need the borrowers to submit this form. It is supposed to be a simple form. My guess is it'll simply be an attestation under penalty of perjury that you satisfy the income requirements. Borrowers who are in college are eligible for the loan forgiveness with a couple of restrictions. One, any loans made with the first disbursement after June 30th of 2022 are not eligible, the main exception being consolidation loans that consolidate loans prior to that date, and only loans prior to that date. And if you're a dependent student on the FAFSA, then eligibility is based on your parents' income and not your own income. If you're an independent student, it's based on your own income. Now, it is possible that both the student and the parents could each qualify for loan forgiveness. The student on the Federal Direct Stafford loans or other eligible loans, and the parents on the Parent Plus loans that they borrowed on behalf of the child. Now, if the parents are receiving loan forgiveness, it's based on their own income, but the Pell Grant recipient status is based on their own status when they went to college and not on their child's status. There are proposals to expand this to include their child's Pell Grant recipient status, but it remains to be seen what the U.S. Department of Education will do. The impact is partly, the receipt of the forgiveness, that is treated as payment on account, so it has no negative repercussions. The main impact is student loans are installment loans, and if you've been paying your loans on time, then you were previously getting a series of on-time payments. If you were paying them late, you'd be getting late payments on your credit history. So the elimination of the student loan debt eliminates that payment history going forward. Now, in addition to all of this, there is something called the Fresh Start Initiative. Borrowers who were in default on their federal student loans prior to the pandemic, and there's about 7.5 million of them, have qualified for rehabilitation, and they're bundling this into a program they're calling Fresh Start, where the default will be removed from your credit history, your loans will be returned to a current status, and you have a year to choose a repayment plan and make payments on that repayment plan. If you make the payments, the return to a current status will be permanent. If you don't make payments under a repayment plan, and a zero payment under an income-driven repayment plan counts, then your loans will go into default again after the end of that year, by the end of 2023.
Well, we're halfway through. When we come back, the other half of our best segments for the week. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN Weekly. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. You know, if you aren't aging, well, you're not living. Well, we discussed it. Let's take a look.
I am getting older, a lot older. And so, yeah. And I'm definitely in the second half of my lifespan, maybe in the last quarter of my lifespan. So I'm particularly embracing this for my own life. But I'm also a voice that says aging is a wonderful thing. And if you're aging and you're getting older, you're winning the game. You're not losing anything. I started that article out by quoting a Facebook post that somebody put up that I thought, my God, I should have written this. And if you don't mind, I'll read it. The quote said, "I've never understood people being ashamed of their age. It's like it's some sort of failure. Every damn number should be celebrated. And if it's a high number, you're winning, not losing." That is my motto of life, Jeff. You're winning. You know, that is the one thing that you cannot get when you're young. Yes, you could have a mature way of looking at life, but the one thing you really can't get is all the experience that we get. It takes days and days and days of life to get the experience. And we're all going to have different experiences. So that's okay. But it is like fruit that's ripening. It just gets better because of the age, that, like fine wine, or it's the process that gives us wisdom is what we want out of this. The Western culture is particularly cruel about aging. Around the world, this is not true. You know, my Chinese buddy, he told me, you know, he lived in a household with 3 generations, and his grandmother was the most revered and the influencer of the household. It's just something that we don't do in America anyway. And it's time for that to change, at least to mellow into understanding the value. And all of us baby boomers, good grief, you know, in essence, we're going to demand that there are changes. My entire career has been spent working with seniors. I mean, in hospice, durable medical equipment, retirement living. So I kind of figured up one day, at least 7,000 seniors, elders with their families. So my lessons I've learned have been from that experience. And you're absolutely right. The kids call me, the adult children call me, and they have no idea the situation of their parents because they live 2,000 miles away. They're not in daily contact. They're not seeing a decline that is happening. So yeah, we're really disjointed in this day and age.
And finally, weak higher education enrollment pressures higher ed institutions. Let's take a look.
Sure. Yeah, we cover a lot of institutions in the U.S. and what we've seen really is that we haven't yet had any meaningful recovery, real recovery in enrollment since the outset of the pandemic. We've got spring 2022 data in the bag, and we've had 5 straight semesters of declining enrollment. So that's sort of where we sit today. Most of that pain has been at the undergraduate level, which is now almost 10% smaller than it was prior to the pandemic. So that's a big drop. What's really been the big driver in undergraduate enrollment has been community college enrollment, and that has been the most hard hit by the pandemic, as you might imagine. There is a nice story there though. Graduate enrollment's been a bit steadier, and that's up about 5% since the outset of the pandemic. And so, really, what we're seeing is still pressured. We do expect this fall will look better, however. Early in the pandemic, the concern was the health and safety of your immediate family and yourself. And that coupled with the shift to fully online remote sort of delivery, a lot of students began to question, is this right for me? If we're not sure if we're going to be on campus in person in fall, am I going to do well? Am I going to have a good experience, good outcomes? And is it worth the health risk, really? And so that's what we sort of started with in, say, fall of 2020, after we've lived with this for upwards of 9 months, 6 to 9 months at that point. As we've progressed and sort of the immediate health risk, I think, has waned a bit, and colleges have gotten back to delivering in person and on campus, and you sort of get back to that pre-pandemic campus experience. Then the question became more a financial one. Are we in the same financial position? What's our college savings account look like? And of course, that has been layered on with a really favorable labor market for employees, perhaps less so for employers. And once you spread that icing of inflation, some of the decision making has been to defer, delay, shift to part-time, and so all of those decisions have evolved a bit during the pandemic. But right now, it's really inflationary and labor pressures that the labor market that we think are two big drivers. As I said, you noted community colleges have been hit worse. They tend to serve a lower income student, someone who's working part-time, someone who may be a non-traditional student, a little older, perhaps with a family. And so it makes sense that segment of the enrollment population has been hit hardest. Beyond that, looking at the 4-year college space, who's been the most hit really has been the less selective, those that have a sort of a thinner financial and competitive profile than some of their peers. Obviously, the schools that have the wait lists and take 10% of their students, they've fared remarkably well through the pandemic and certainly into this fall. The schools that have faced the most pressure tend to be a little smaller, a little less competitive, and unfortunately, oftentimes have a thinner financial cushion to withstand any drop in enrollment. Of course, one student to a school with 100 students means a lot more than one student to a school with 10,000 students. And so those schools have certainly felt an outsized impact from any decline in enrollment.
Well, certainly great segments. I want to thank all of our great contributors this week. And that wraps up this episode of BRN Weekly. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, entertainment, So much more, and all in one place. Check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives? Check out our latest content? We'll visit our website and, of course, our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for BRN Sunday. I'll be joined by members of the media, financial services, academia, and government as we analyze all the news and events for the week. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.